Hello and welcome to another episode of Dreams Over New York, Changeling Edition. Today we have a scene taking place in the streets of New York. It's a fairly cold morning in New York this morning, and the player characters are out for a walk. Maybe the cool air will help jog your thoughts, help you think clearer. The mortal side of the um, city is bustling as always. Fairly usual day for the city, but on the face side, there are almost no chimera to be seen. The only chimera you see are, the incidental chimera birthed from changelings and low banality mortals that are quickly swept away in the cold tide and the cold winds that are sweeping through the city. So you guys can intro from there.
Speaking of nice, cool mornings, Cassie finally dragging herself away from her room in her very posh Upper West Side apartment. For some reason, just everything around the area just feels very clingy and just rubs her skin the wrong way. So being out in just leggings, sneakers, and a sweatshirt running is just the best thing for her. Sure, maybe she feels like there are icicles forming on her skin as she's making up a sweat, running up and down as many streets as she can. But for some reason, it's very refreshing. She hasn't gotten out of her room in weeks, honestly. It's just lots of things she needs to handle as a fellowship that she's willing to kill for. Which is honestly a little weird considering she's never been really cutthroat. But 'tis the season, it's midterms. Barely few any survive. She's working to be the one that does. And so Cassie is just running and running and running and running.
Cadlin, for his part, has stepped out of his freehold. He has his sword belted to his hip and is still adorned on his chimerical side in his full she armor. He's had to fashion an eye patch to cover the ruined remains of his left eye socket, which, if people were to look at, they would see the black crystallization of the hag's touch in the chimerical world, eating away half his face. So he has stepped out in order to patrol the areas around his freehold to make sure that there are no more of the nuisance chimera. By the way, Joey, is the Knight of House Scaffash still recovering in my freehold, or is she not?
She disappeared in the middle of the night.
Oh, balls. Oh, well.
I mean, there wasn't any signs of a struggle, but she just wasn't there.
Okay. Is the visiting Baron, the one Kim played, still mooching around?
I'm going to say yes, because Kim hasn't said anything otherwise, and that's her NPC.
Okay. He will venture out in order to see if there's anything going on in the local area. The Barons have not returned from their summit. The city is on the brink of war. Dark times approach. So he will look like a man with very many worries and frustrations as he makes his way down the icy street.
Cassie, for one, is in love with the icy street. Honestly, there's no friction whatsoever. It feels like she's flying above the sky. And she's just going to keep on running and running. And Carolyn's probably going to see this bolt just coming towards him, well, in his general area, of just steam running off this girl. She's just panting and panting and just keep on going. Red hair just flashing in the back. Actually, it's a little dim now. It's not as lustrous as it
Cardlin will enter the main thoroughfare of the shopping street and pace his way down, his one good eye now flicking from side to side. After all, he's blind to his left, so the right needs to compensate more. The mechanical gears inside whirring and whizzing as he does so in order to make sure that he's not suddenly beset upon. So he will not see Cassie as he quite literally turns a corner and runs into her.
Poor Cardinal, I'm pretty sure it's more like she runs over him.
Yes.
And as she makes contact with an actual body. Cassie will kind of skid a bit and kind of kneel down. I'm so sorry. I didn't see you. Are you okay? Oh. Are you okay? And she's just gonna give Cardinal a wry look.
You will
What?
notice, as I say, the eye patch that obscures not only his left eye, but also a large portion of his face. And you will notice that one of his hands. Joey, which hand did she take? Did she take the hand I'm proficient in or the hand I'm not proficient in? Like my writing hand or my non writing hand?
I can't remember which I said in the same. I think she said she took your left hand.
Okay, he's right handed, so he still has his dominant hand at least. But yes, one of his hands is missing from the wrist down.
Cardinal? And she'll kind of hush. And she stands up and tries to help him up with her. What happened? And she'll take out her headphones and just kind of look him up and down. Are you? I haven't been around. I hadn't thought. I got stuck. What? And she's just gonna flail her hand around, up and down, unable to properly dictate.
He will raise his hand for silence. He's clearly very perturbed with life at this point, and he will say, "It is not good to discuss these issues here so publicly, my dear." He kind of lets his gaze flick around to see where they are, and he will lead her down a back alley.
Cassie will nod and just kind of follow him quietly. She understands, but also, what? The hand still flails every now and then.
Cardlin will walk down into the back alley, and he will, as he says, it would appear as though he contemplates. You recall we spoke of the class structure, yes?
Yeah, I remember some of that.
Well, it would seem as though the new regent of the Council of Barons is not what he appears to be. He has, through political machinations and guile, managed to encompass all of the barons and their knights. We suspect them all that they were all murdered last night. The night before last. So
you're telling me that a politician is not what they seem to be. A very powerful politician. And it may have disastrous complications.
He will say in a very exasperated voice, "Do not be flippant."
It's just jarring how well the worlds mirror each other. I'm not trying to be flippant with the situation. I am merely observing the fact that you just can't seem to get away from corruption, it seems.
They are using a poison, a vile magical brew that turns that turns you slowly into stone as their weapon of choice. He will gesture.
No, she's gonna mention what happened at the Baron's house.
Correct.
Oh God.
He will point to his eye socket or the patch, and then to his arm, and he will say, "These were taken as prices from a powerful entity, so that we may have the cure for the poison when the time allows. Most of the old magic must be written, signed, and sealed in blood, after all."
Yeah, I can only imagine. I'm sorry I haven't been around. I don't know what I could have done, but maybe I could have offered up a sacrifice too. Something extra to wet the wheel, I guess.
He will say, "I lost my eye and my hand. Lady Dawnbreaker lost her tongue. It has not been a pleasant few days, but we will endure."
Of course you will. You're both strong individuals, and those that you walk with are also. And she'll just kind of lean against some of the stone in between the alley.
If you will take my advice, Miss Winter.
Yes, always.
I would leave New York if I were you. The city is not safe for one so young.
And go where? You and yours, the ones that I know of, are the only that I know. If I were to leave, I'd be caught unawares. I know so little about my own self.
Do you have no family elsewhere who could see to your safety for the time?
And she'll get a very dark look on her face that'll flash a little. Um, Not really. I have my mother, but she lives here, and she would never, ever, ever hear of leaving New York. I mean, I am a woman grown and I can leave, but, well, if I'd be running away, who knows what I could run into. As you say, I am quite young, and I imagine vulnerable in the eyes of some. But that is not wrong. There are things I do not completely understand or comprehend about our world. Is there
Cardinal will
nowhere
nod.
near? Is there nowhere here where I could just do my best to assist, but not in the front lines? I mean, from what I hear, this is not, well, we tend to go about a revolving door. Even if I were to be gone, unless by some very dark means, I think I would come back eventually. At
Cardinal
least
will
I think it's.
contemplate, and he will say, in a manner of speaking, yes, but it now is not the time for me to discuss the greater mysteries of the reincarnation cycle. If you feel you must stay in New York, then that is entirely upon you to do so. We will offer what.
I also
Hmm?
I also don't want to be a burden on your journey into finding or figuring out how to deal with this giant complication.
You have a brain. You have wits. You may yet be of use before the storm comes to its conclusion.
I wish to be of service in whatever way I can. I cannot leave. As good advice as it is, there is no means for me to, and frankly, my gray life sort of hangs in the balance academically. If I were to leave, it would completely shatter everything I've worked for.
Ironically, it's the fact that you don't possess a title that means that you've been spared much of the uproar. As I've said, they've already killed, if not imprisoned, all of my brother barons and their knights. All that are left now in the 5 boroughs are a handful of squires.
And I'm not even that.
No.
Is there, I mean, I know in times like this it is hard to trust, but trust other than the few that I know that you also know. Yourself, Lady Dawnbreaker, the others that we've met. I'm not so sure about Sue, but that's because I'm not around them. And at least with Lady Dawnbreaker, her company speaks well of her.
Sue is a vulgar nuisance, but then again, many commoners are.
Yes, so you have said. Though it seems like even we of the nobility can be a mite much.
He will raise a finger and he will say, "You are she, which means you are of the noble blood, but you are not nobility."
Apologies. We have the she. The upper echelon, naturally, of course, can apparently be a bit much, considering
I beg your pardon?
current situations.
He will contemplate and he will say, "For the time being, walk with me. I will complete my circuit around this
course.
area in order to make sure that there are no more dark chimera. Then we will retire back, and we may find some use for you in the coming struggle."
Understood. And she'll kind of walk a little half step behind him, but also in step. Just kind of
Joey, we're
letting
gonna
him-
go and walk the main streets until either we get jumped, or if not, if we don't get jumped, we're gonna go home.
The red flag has been flailed.
Sorry,
Oh,
I had
God.
to find the tab. You guys can talk it with about yourselves for a little bit before something happens. Here's a little more time.
Okay.
As I said, Cardler will proceed to walk down the casual day-to-day street. In the gray world, it'll probably look like he does have one hand because he lost both his physical and chimerical hand.
Jesus.
So yeah, he did.
Jesus.
Yeah. But he will, they will make their way down. They will probably complete the circuit that Cardlin had intended to take before they're walking back towards his freehold, and he will say, I am surprised that you are able to balance your lives as well as you have done. Generally speaking, when one awakens into our world, one becomes more a slave to one side of themselves than the other, and forget the prior self they once were.
I strive myself on maintaining a perfect sort of facade. On the inside, I'm desperately panicking to find some sort of balance. But I know that if I were to embrace myself in one way or the other, I'd be losing something. And I've just discovered this very cold thing in my heart that is mine now. I don't want to let go of that. Though the allure of a very large laboratory and lots of interns to torment is very, very, very nice to think of. I know I probably can't do that now. There's just too much that is not right. Even hanging out in the computer labs is giving me a headache every now and then. So, like a New Yorker, I adapt.
Computers are very banal devices. Computers limit imagination because they present infinite answers rather than pondering the questions.
I mean, my field is all about figuring out new ideas and how to make nature work in a manner that we want it to. So, in a sense, there's a bit of imagination going on, but lots and lots of cold, hard science. But at least there's no experimentation in my field. So that's one moral thing.
He'll nod before he kind of flicks the golden kind of trimmed black hair over his shoulder and says, you will come to conflict with yourself more often than you know, particularly in these starting days. The footsteps that you take, the path that you walk, you have yet to determine how it is you will stride down it. I wish you luck in this, of course, but as I've said, with any luck, this place will be brought to rights. Either that or the changeling world here will burn. We will all be dead before midwinter.
So
sooner or later there'll be an answer.
As that ominous pronouncement is said, you guys are walking past a little park, like a little neighborhood specific park sort of thing. You hear psst, psst.
Cardlin will half draw his sword with his good hand before he turns.
Cassie will murmur, this is always how that movie starts. But she also kind of turns slightly, but lets Cardlin take the lead.
And you see peering out from behind a tree this woman. In her Grey World meet. Huh?
Is it an issue? Oh, no, not an issue. Is it fucking... what's the name of the creepy one? Bald.
Slua?
Is it a Slua? Those are the words.
No. It is not. She appears like this in the Grey World, or not in the Grey World, in the Dreaming, with the addition that her skin has this very barky quality to it, kind of like Thomas's, but not quite. Whereas in the Grey World, she appears just to be a goth girl, or like cyber goth sort of chick. And she's peering around a tree and motioning for the two of you to follow her. It's not safe out here. If you want to talk about things like that, you should talk about them somewhere safe. I know somewhere safe. You should come with me.
I'm gonna roll intellect Greymere to identify what the fuck that is.
Okay, go for it. Let me flip over to that Discord.
Do I even need common sense for the little flash in the back of the head where it's just like danger? Will Robertson danger?
2 successes.
2 successes. For Cassie, your common sense is telling you this is a little weird, but she hasn't been aggressive at all yet, so you should give her a chance. For Cardlin, this kind of seems like a wood spirit. Like you don't know the name of it, but you know there are like spirits of trees and stuff that the Kithane interact with.
Oh, damn bloody inanimate. He's going to nod and he's going to kind of gesture with his head towards Cassie to indicate to follow him as he strides into the park.
Cassie will nod and follow. At least if they're going into a park, Cassie blends in. Jugger.
The woman leads you guys through the park to a bench that's flanked by two very beautiful, surprisingly big for this little park, oak trees. And she just sits down on the bench, crosses her legs, and watches for you guys to sit down. And you notice that these trees have little motes of light up in the branches in the dreaming that seem to be warding people away, like mundane people kind of just walk past without really noticing it.
Impressive.
She'll just smile.
Oh, I didn't realize I was muted. Cardinal will say, you will forgive me being brisk, I hope, but you wish to speak with us privately. May I ask why?
Because you are the ones planning the assault, right?
If you mean, do I intend to kill Baron Swiftfell, then the answer is yes.
She giggles a little and like covers her hand with her mouth with her hand and says, "Well then, we've been looking for you."
Who is
Looks
we?
like you're popular.
The spirits of nature. You call us the sessile ones.
Oh. Cardinal will nod, and he will say, I did not think you would have a stake in our affairs in this manner.
Everyone has a stake in the end of the world, my dear. Everyone.
That is not an incorrect assessment.
Cassie will nod. It's very logical thinking. Why would people care about being the end of the world? Because that is fair.
She taps her things and says, "That phrase, it's from a movie, isn't it? I think my boyfriend tried to get me to watch it. Guardians of something? I can't think of the name." And she shakes her head. No matter. You are planning this assault, correct? This
Correct.
is something you intend to go through with. Nothing will sway you, all the usual jazz.
He will say, I have sworn a sacred oath to the dreaming to recover something the Baron stole. I will have it. Simple as. I don't break my oath.
She tilts her head to the side. What did he steal?
A crown.
A crown. Do you know much about this crown?
It was an item forged many centuries ago for House Leo. It is something of immense power.
Well, if you'd like, we can talk with some of the gnomes and see if they can. You can try and convince them to let you use their libraries. They have vast tomes of knowledge in their kingdoms.
He will look at Cassie and he'll say, have you ever met someone made of stone?
Only that which we saw.
Not quite the same thing, but yes. He will nod to the woman and he will say, I would be more than happy to speak to the gnomes on this matter.
And she nods and says, well, follow me. And she turns and like jauntily walks off towards one of the big oak trees.
Let's jauntily follow.
Okay. So when she gets there, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, you go. I don't want to interrupt you guys.
No, it's cool. I was just gonna have Cassie kind of skip after them because he said jauntily follow. So Cassie's just gonna
Yes.
skip, bounce, bounce, bounce like a snow bunny.
Okay. So when she reaches the oak tree, she'll tap on several different spots on the trunk, and it'll kind of peel inwards like a doorway, and she'll step into it. And as she steps in, she'll say over her shoulder, "Oh, my name's Acacia, by the way."
Like,
Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Cass is gonna turn her head. She knows what Acacia is. Nice name.
Thank you.
What is acacia out of character?
It's a type of tree.
Nice.
A pretty tree.
Pretty tree. So down, down, down we go.
So when you step into it, you step into this like really big. It's like the sorts of tree houses where they hollow out the inside of like a giant tree that you see in like fantasy novels and stuff. And that's like the living space is all in the tree. That's what you basically walk into. It's this massive like room with living stuff scattered around it. There's a spiraling staircase that goes around the edge of it that leads to a second floor, and she starts heading towards the staircase. You notice as you walk through, there's things like there's what looks like a steampunk DVD player, or not DVD player. What's the word I'm looking for? Like record player. That looks like it's been modified to play DVDs. And behind it, there's like a shelf with a bunch of albums on it of bands like Alice in Chains and Avenged Sevenfold, that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
As she leads you guys up the stairs.
We follow.
Cassie kind of dwindle a little, staring at everything. Internally squeeing at the not technically a treehouse, but still, because she's only ever grew up in New York. What is nature? This beautiful thing.
Without turning around, Carolyn will grab her by the ear and just yank. Yoink.
She is yoinked.
Totally not someone on a mission here. No time for childish wonderment.
Damn it.
So I'm gonna need Cardillon to roll his glamour.
Roll my glamour? Okay.
Yes.
What could possibly go wrong? Standard diff?
Yes, standard difficulty.
Three successes.
Okay. So you feel like that cold taint of banality just kind of hover around you for a second, but the glamour in your soul pushes it away.
It's because I was denying childhood wonderment.
Yes. You were doing that banality thing.
Tisk, tisk, tisk. Cardinal, we expect better. Out of character.
I will sit a childling down. I will put a childling over my knee if you're not careful.
Listen, I didn't say. I said that, not Cassie. Cassie's just gonna pout at him and just follow like she says. Somebody's kicked her. She's like, okay, sorry. She hopes she'll get a chance to see it later.
Amazing. Anyway, sorry. We're going upstairs.
Yep. So you guys make it up the stairs into what looks like the bedroom area. But there's also a large archway on one of the walls that opens into nothing. And Acacia just walks over, plucks a leaf off of a branch, because there's branches and stuff growing inside as well. She just plucks a leaf off a branch, kisses it, and throws it into the area. And after a moment, this swirling, it multiplies and starts swirling around until there's, just this mass of swirling leaves inside the archway. And then she steps through it.
And then we'll step through after her.
And this Cassie stepped through as well.
She does, with less enthusiasm.
Okay. So through you get that feeling with when you're on like a roller coaster or something, when you get to that high point and then you start dropping down and your stomach sort of drops, because that's the feeling. That is the feeling you get as you step through this portal, and then you come out into a little tree. You pop out from a tree. It looks like a train station. There's people around. There's no Cathane or other Fae that you can see in the train station, but there's some mortals who don't even appear to notice you guys popping out of the tree. It's kind of set off to the side, right next to the men's bathroom, but there's a out of order sign on the men's bathroom.
Okay.
And Acacia says, "Welcome to San Francisco."
Yeah, Cassie is definitely gonna go. It's gonna be a big one. She's going to ignore Catalan. Just be like,
Carlin, you know what? He's just gonna pat her on the head with a good hand. Pat, pat, pat.
she'll actually glow a little underneath it and just be like, "This is the West Coast. This is the West Coast. Catalan, this is the West Coast.
Yeah.
Catalan, this is the West Coast."
He will calmly look at her as if saying, "Really? This amazes you? This amazes you?"
For reference, For reference, Evan, you guys traveled the entire breadth of the United States in one step.
That's exactly why she's giving him that look. She's just giving him like
From Carlin's perspective, there's an art that lets you do that. You know,
that's fair.
He's just.
Cassie's just gonna like narrow her eyes at him and pout. Carlin, do you know how much money this would cost to do in 12 hours?
He will blink and he will say, "I see. I need to teach you Wayfare at some point."
What?
The art of going from one place to another.
I'm down for that. Just 1 second. West Coast air, not that much different from East Coast, but somehow better. Okay, now I'm good.
Question, like, out of character, because Evan doesn't know. What is there like a signature food of San Francisco?
I don't think so. It's like a melting pot sort of city.
Yeah, whereas New York City is a salad, San Francisco, I think, is actually a melting pot, where everything just kind of turns into the same thing.
He'll say, "We can get some seafood later. Will that make you happy?"
Yes, immensely, actually. Thank you.
Okay.
A mission-style burrito is evidently a very famous food that was developed in San Francisco.
We can get you a burrito. Will that make you feel better?
Yes.
Okay. He feels like he's.
Carlin doesn't.
Carlin feels like, oh God, I'm like a dad taking their child on a day trip or something. Good God. Okay.
Listen, he took her around. Carlin doesn't realize burritos are like one of the 3 food staples of a college student. This is what she needs in her life in order to do her dissertations and shit.
Okay. He will gesture to the inanimate and will basically say, "Let me guess. Do the Gloam possibly live in the railway tunnels?"
She kind of laughs and says, "No, silly. They're way fancier than that. Like these dudes are the fanciest people you will ever meet. Their headquarters is in the San Francisco Public Library, actually. Follow me." She just kind of gestures for you guys to follow her.
Cassie will follow Darley. Just like, what's that? San Francisco Public Library?
Without looking at Cassie, he will say, "No, we do not have time for you to look through the entirety of the library."
Okay, fine, but like, please teach me that art soon. You know, you. Carlin, please. I've only been to the East Coast, and it's New York and Connecticut. Connecticut.
Once again, without looking behind him, he will reach back with his good hand and pat her on the head. Pat, pat.
Fellows.
So you guys get led along through the streets of San Francisco. The dreaming here is actually fairly similar to the dreaming in New York. There's very few non-incidental chimera you see. Most of the fae you see are kind of like huddled, running through not really running, but hurrying through the streets to wherever they're going. They avoid you guys, that sort of thing. And she will lead you up the steps of the San Francisco Public Library. And you guys get asked for library cards. She offers them a library card. They let her in. You guys are with her, so you guys get let in. And she will go up to one of the attendants, who I actually do not have a picture for. So I will find one. But she's a very severe looking woman, about maybe mid-20s. You could estimate. Blonde hair, glasses, essentially the quintessential stereotype. And she will just look up at you and say, "Are you here to rent some books? Do you need help looking through the sections? I can help. I'm very good with finding things in the library."
And Cardlin will say, "We are here to look up very specific books. I believe our friend here may be able to tell you more."
And she'll kind of blink and look at Acacia and say, "Oh, Acacia, it's been so long. Did you finally decide to come back and visit us again?" And Acacia will just roll her eyes. "No, Cumulus, I didn't. We're on business." And the other woman will kind of pout and say, "Okay then. Right this way." And she'll gesture for you guys to follow her.
Cardlin will look back at Cassie and he'll say, "Whilst I go and look through books of Eldritch lore, you can go about the library if you'd rather not have to come down and join me."
Both of these choices are preferable, considering I know nothing of Eldritch lore other than things that certain authors have drudged up in an attempt to scare the masses. But
It is up to you.
You have brought me here. I will stay with you. Because
Very
you're
good
going
then.
to teach me that. You're going to teach me that art, right? Right.
On that character note, Cardlin needs to learn it first, but maybe.
We've already got our hopes up, Devin.
Did I say that in the wrong? But yeah, she'll lead you to like the back area of the library. She'll, you guys will get waved past since you're with her, and she'll lead you up some stairs to a very plain looking wooden door. And she'll knock on it and say, "They should be with you soon. Just be careful. These guys don't forget things very easily, so don't insult them."
Of course. Thank you so much, Acacia.
And Acacia will just wave and say, "Oh, I'm staying with you."
Okay. Well, thank you anyway for the
Cumulus.
advice.
"Oh, no problem. I kind of have a vested interest in the city, not falling into peril."
Understandable.
And Cumulus just waves goodbye. "I'll see you all later," as she walks out, just very merrily.
Cass is
And
going
when
Sorry.
There you go.
Cass is actually going to lean a little bit towards the side, towards Acacia. Pardon me, but could her name have astromepheric sort of origin?
She's what we call and now I'm out of character forgetting the name. Fuck. She's an air elemental, you can call her. I knew the name out of character, but I literally just forgot.
Gotcha. Good name.
Yes, we aren't usually too subtle with our name choices.
Though, to be honest, given current naming standards of the world in total, not out of a blue.
This is fair. For
Carolyn
reference, this is the woman that was helping you. That's what she looked like.
She looks so cute. Very stereotypical librarian's aide or librarian.
You're a librarian's aide.
I was once upon a time librarian's aide. It was fun.
Oh.
I got to pick people.
Well,
people
mine's will completely backfire. Oh, dang it. But yes, Carolyn will knock on the door.
Yep. There will be no answer for long moment. And the moment stretches longer, longer, and longer, and longer. So you're wondering, if anybody's ever gonna answer.
Weird question, Joey. Are Gloam really, really slow?
Make a Greymare check.
I'll do that. Three successes.
So with 3 successes, you know that Glooms are they're rock elementals, earth elementals. So they are generally it's not they're slow so much as they move at a slower pace than everyone else.
We'll wait.
After about, don't tell me I said this in the wrong place again, I will literally murder someone.
Not it.
Dang it.
So after about 10 minutes of waiting, the door will open and this man will look at you. He looks much the same in the picture, but his his skin has a very like rock-like quality to it, and his eyes are completely black, like obsidian. And he just looks you over and says, "Acacia, I assume these are the ones you told us about." And she nods. And he looks to the two of you and says, "Introduce yourselves, please."
Very well done. At which point, Cadlin will offer a slight bow, and he will do his whole. He will adopt the air of she formality, as only she can, and he will say, "In that case, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Baron Cadlin Hammerfell, Dougal of currently a resident of New York. This is my page, Miss Cassie Winter."
Cassie will wave and just very politely smile.
The man will nod and say, "I am known as Andesite. You may follow me." And he turns and will like gestures for you to enter the room.
Without looking back, without looking back or really thinking about it, Cardlin files away. Good God, they really aren't subtle with their names in his brain. He just kind of files that away.
Cass is just kind of like, yes, volcanic rock. Yes, volcanic rock.
Also, congratulations. Apparently, you're now my page.
Sweet! She got promoted. She didn't even have to do anything.
So when you guys enter the room, it's a very nice and cheery room. It's got like the walls appear to be made out of like stone. It looks like marble, but even with that, with those, the walls being out of marble and the roof having stalagmites, I believe it's stalagmites hanging down. It has a very cozy, homey feeling, made partially possible by the fact that there's very nice fluffy chairs sitting around a roaring fireplace. And then you see once you enter, there's rows upon rows of books, which appear to be going into quite a distance, quite larger than the building. This room appears to be like 3 times the size of the building that you guys saw from the outside. And he will lead you guys over to the chairs, turn, and say, "Now I would like you to explain why you have asked or permission to use our libraries. The warm bloods are not allowed to use them very often, and we require good reason beforehand."
Cardlin will look at him straight in the eyes and he'll say, coincidentally, Joey, in anime, are the same type of being that we are. They just inhabit material rather than inhabit bodies, right?
I think so.
Yes. Although they are far older than Kithane.
Do they still believe themselves to be the children of the Thuatha, or do they not?
No, they were born alongside the Tuatha. Actually, if I remember my lore correctly, they were born before the Tuatha. Let me check.
I think they were born beside them.
Actually,
At least
no.
that's what I remember.
The art for that page, so I can find it really quickly. Yes, the mortals slept and the dreaming listened. It heard the quiet cries of anguish and manifested new yet primal life through the waters, earth, winds, and fire on the world to challenge the rule of the Elder Dark. And then the Kithane, or not the Kithane, the Tuatha come into it. The Tuatha come after the Mythic Age. The Tuatha come in at the time of Legends. So these are in anime are older than the Tuatha.
Okay. He will say, because the ending is nigh, and if we do not rally together, then we may well all fall separately. As it stands, from what I'm led to understand, the Tuatha and the Fomori once again armed themselves for war, and their agents already stalk the streets of New York. If we do not act now, in order to drive back the oblivion, then we will surely both end, as all things must end. I would, however, rather the continuation of my existence, as I'm sure you would yours. So we come to you, we beg of you, the aid of the gloam and the aid of our inanimate brothers and sisters, so that we may drive back the darkness. That is what we ask, and that is why we are here.
He nods, says, "I would like evidence of this. Spare no detail, and we need confirmation. Such things that you speak are dire omens indeed, if you are correct."
Are the inanimate also children of the dreaming?
Yes.
Okay. In that case, he will look at you, and he will look at the NPC, and he will say, "I, Baron Cadlin Hammerfell, swear that what I say now is the truth. I swear it, lest the dreaming pluck out the eye that still sees, sever the hand that can still strike the iron and heat the forge, and rip the tongue from my mouth so that I may never lie again. I swear that what I say is true once. I say it twice, and by the dreaming I bind it thrice."
He contemplates this one and says, "You should be careful with oaths, but it has been witnessed, Kithane."
He will then proceed to tell everything he knows from the beginning to the end, including the fact that one of the Kithane was willing to sacrifice their changeling self, their reincarnation, and their place in eternity in order to secure the information. He will leave out no detail. He will tell him all.
I would, just mainly for Maya's sake, can you narrate from the part where you guys went to, I think it was, last thing you heard was the visit to the Baron's freehold, right? Right, Maya? That was the last part you were in?
I was there. Yeah, I was there when they took out the knife and everything.
Okay. So the party and
Sorry,
River Hag, I think. The party in the River Hag, I think all that needs to be narrated.
Yeah, okay. In that case, he will say, as it pertains to the party in the River Hag, that they encountered the entity that appeared to give birth to the rest of the River Hags, a being of great eldritch power and mystery, who propagated this poison that has spread throughout New York. It named the creature that currently occupies the baronial seat and is the new regent of the barons as being its brother and being an entity of similar age and dark power to it. In exchange for... Oh, this is something I didn't tell Cassie. Cassie, prepare to have a minor freak out. In exchange for 3 questions, we agreed to... they took 100 newborn babes and would let them die in our cave. What was it? Was it not 100 newborn babes?
It was 100 children, not newborns, just 100 children that were taken into the dreaming.
That they would take 100 children into the dreaming, and the last thing those children would see would be our faces. We did this so it would answer 3 questions.
Kef's just looking at him now like, what?
We then proceeded to have to give up our body parts so that it would provide an antidote to the poison when an antidote became required. What else was there? We then Finn sold his soul to the witch hag. He gave up his chance of reincarnation and he gave up his face self after his death so that he may learn what the truth was, at which point the truth behind all this was, at which point he was told that the Fomori and the Tuatha had awoken and that the end was nigh and that we had to assemble an artifact called... What was the artifact called?
I believe it's called the Casket Mask of Sorrows. Let me double check. Because I know that it's something like that, but I can't remember the exact name. The Triumph Cask of Sorrows.
We needed to assemble all 7 pieces of this in order to basically save the world. Hooray! And that whatchamacallit, that the similar person, that's the world. Yeah. Or something else. Nope, that was it. So he'll tell all this to the inanimate.
We'll ponder this for a long moment and then say, you may pick 2 of these subjects to research. I will bring you the books you will require, and you may have 2 hours to read through them.
Okay, 2 subjects. He wishes to research what the essence of the Baron could be. So basically, what the Baron is, if he is not Changeling, if that makes sense, to investigate what the River Hag had said and what all of those creatures might be, for one, and yeah, because it's why we came here. He wishes to investigate the Allele crown.
Yep. He thinks and he says, the question of the first ones we cannot answer. You must find one of them to answer that question. However, we can provide you with information on the crown of the Allele.
Okay. In that case, let me think of a different first point. If they have any information on the casket, maybe.
And he will nod and say, there are several books on Kithane history we possess, which may contain hints to the location of some of the pieces. And he will walk off.
I assume Cassie wants to yell at me for a little bit, so while we're kind of just sitting in the chairs waiting, now would be a good time. Going once.
Maya,
going
you there?
twice. I get off scot-free!
Sorry, I had to go look at something.
I was saying the anime walked away in order to get the books, and I said that while he was doing that, if you wanted to yell at me for, horrible child murder, now would be a good time.
Tress is just, staring and staring and staring. Opens her mouth, closes it, nods. Nothing to be done. Nothing to be done.
He will say, if it provides you any solace, we did not know what the price was before it was taken.
You're supposed to ask the price beforehand, usually. Isn't that how this goes?
He kind of he lifts his hand and he kind of does the shake from side to side, the kind of symbol, and he says, sometimes beings would rather you pay the price without knowing what it is, and unfortunately we were desperate.
Okay. Who gave up their self, their next, all of their nexts?
The now Knight Stormrage. Sir Stormrage.
That is of no context to me.
Lady Dawnbreaker's squire, as was.
Finn?
The blind man.
Oh, Grace. Oh. Okay. All right. I didn't know this.
You do now.
Yes, I do. Thank you for telling me. It is surprising.
What is?
I embraced the idea of next. Not looking forward to it, but that there was a next. It's one of the few things I embraced so quickly. And I had made a comment earlier, you remember, about, just waiting for next, if something should happen. To hear of someone who sacrificed their next is admirable, because I know that there is a weight to it.
There is a crushing weight to it. That is why you will notice that only the most severe punishments in our world are ever meted out by death by cold iron, because that robs you of all that you are. You will never be again.
Such a big sacrifice, a worthy cause. When this all works out, until it is the end for him, I'm sure he will be a good knight.
You will not. And we will just wait, I think, till the old Nanabe bimbles back this way.
So he comes back carrying 3 huge stacks of books on his arms effortlessly that he sets down on a little table, and he says, "Your time begins now. And I'm going to need extended intelligence Greymare rolls to see how much information you guys collect. You will get 4 rolls. Each roll is about half an hour's worth of searching through the books. Difficulty 7 because the reading material is really, really dry. Which, surprisingly so for, creatures of the dreaming. But you can also imagine that gnomes are not super imaginative when they write.
Drier than biochemical engineering texts?
Yes, somehow. Because it's somehow worse because it's that stuff that should be really, really interesting, but somehow they make it really, really boring. And you don't quite know how they do it.
From that. I'm running away from that. No, real life is following me. Which Sororian. Let me just clip it open for me. Okay.
I have, over my own 3 rolls, I have a total of 10 successes.
4 rolls. So you get 4 rolls.
Ooh, okay.
Also, I just realized I forgot to have you guys do glamour rolls, but it'll be fine. You guys can be assumed to have full glamour for the scene.
Wow, I have a total of 15, so tally up at the end, I guess.
And then that's 1 for Cassie's first roll, unless her intelligence spec applies. I don't know if she has one.
No, I don't have one. I was supposed to get one, but leaked.
16.
Damn it.
Okay, there's another success.
Better.
Yep, 3. You got one more roll.
I thought it was 3.
Nope, 4, because you got 2 hours to look, and each roll is half an hour's worth of work.
Oh, okay, good. Right, let's hope it works. Whoop!
26, I believe.
Totaling them, yeah, 26.
All right. So you guys, what you discover? The Dragon Crown, as it is known, is a very powerful artifact forged during the time of legends by Ain, one of the Tuatha, for her son Ailil, who, through reading the text, you discover was also her husband. It was kind of, one of those things where you're just like, yeah, time, really. Yeah.
Cassie has a moment of excuse me.
But it is imbued with the full power of the sovereign art. And through some searching, you also determine that it is unbreakable. The only way to destroy the crown would be to destroy it with cold iron, and doing so would unleash the art bound within to unknown consequences.
Dun, dun, dun.
And then as for the Triumph Cask of Sorrows, it takes a lot of searching, but eventually you get hints, and somebody, you might want to write this down.
I trust Cassie to write it down. Write no
Okay.
So there are hints.
Thank you,
You get a lot of hints to 3 possible locations of the Triumph Cask of a piece of the cask. The first one is in Hiroshima.
Of course it is.
The second one is somewhere in the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh, God.
And the
So that
third...
art.
Sorry.
No. Just like saying to this guy. So that art.
Okay. And then the third one is somewhere in the forests of Ontario. That's the most you could get for the third hint, for the third possible place.
Weird question, Joey. In our research of the crown, did it come up with anything that could counter the crown? Not destroy it, but make you do anything about its hilarious control powers?
Art such as
He
winter.
horrifying very well.
Art such as winter can help you resist it, but it will not completely stop the art, but it will help you resist it. Because the crown was forged by one of the most powerful magic weavers around at the time.
I'm gonna steal it.
And the other thing is it will only work in the hands of a fully noble she. It will only work in the hands, aka it will only work in the hands of a fucking Arcadian.
Wait. So does this mean that if the entity in question is not a she, then it won't work?
Yes.
That could be interesting.
So
yes.
an Arcadian can't wield it.
An Arcadian can, and Autumn she could not.
Oh, okay. So Arcadian can, not Autumn.
Yes.
Dang it.
And that is what you guys are able to find out. And at the end of the 2 hours, Andesite kind of just stands there watching you and says, "It is time to leave."
Cassie will help stack the books up, and we'll turn to Andesite. Just give bow because she's terrible at curtsying. She's just like, my apologies for my lack of curtsying knowledge, but thank you so much for your assistance. We will do our best, the utmost, anything we can possibly do.
We are in your debt. Should there be anything that the Gloam require, you have but 2 hours.
He nods to Cassie and looks to Cardillan and says, "It will not be forgotten." And then he leads you guys out of the library.
I have no doubt. All that's going to come out of his head is the stone remembers.
Yes.
As he's leaving them out, Cassie will look fondly at the books and wave goodbye. Bye. Farewell.
So, as you guys are let out of the room, Acacia looks up from where she was texting on her phone and pulls out an earbud and says, "So did you guys find what you're looking for?" As she waves to Andesite. As he just lets you guys out and shuts the door.
Coincidentally, Cassie is an Arcadian she, isn't she?
Yep. Cassie is an Arcadian she with Winter 3.
Hello. I've got a plan. Joey, I've got a plan.
I know you do.
I'm a bad man, but
I did want to build her up to be a snow queen, so by all means, please help.
having read that, his eyes will flick over his notes again, rather Cassie's notes, and he will say, "Cassie
Lots of spider kind of crawling signatures. Just like
Joey, I would like to point out, I didn't intend to do this as flippantly as I'm about to, but if what I think is the case, this is the best way to do this."
Oh dear.
Lord.
Sigh. "Cassie Winter, please take a knee."
Okay. And Cassie will kind of put her notes down gently and take a knee.
You see Hardland draw his chimerical sword. God. I hate you, Joey. I just want you to know that there's palpable hatred.
Acacia's just watching and she says, "Oh," and she starts like she'll turn around and take like selfies of what you guys are doing with her in like the foreground doing a peace symbol.
Oh my god. Cassie's gonna want a picture of that after she freaks the flip out.
The best part is the phone can take pictures of the chimerical reality, so.
Excellent.
Yo, Cassie needs her number.
He will touch the sword to her left shoulder, and he will say, "I, Cardlin, Baron of House Dougal, do hereby grant upon you, Cassie Winter, the honors and titles bestowed in benefice of knighthood. Here let the dreaming bear witness. You are called to a great service, Miss Winter. You will do great things. However, the trials will be long, the existence hard. You will do what is necessary. Do you accept this knighthood?"
I accept. And Cassie's skin could possibly not be any paler.
He will say, "Will you swear the oath of the..." Hang on, Joey, it's her who has to swear fealty and me who has to give her the escheat, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. He will say, "Repeat after me." Joey, do you mind reading out the oath of loyalty?
Let me find it. Because the oath section is like in a really weird place in the book.
Holy crap.
Well, it was very specific. It said only a true and noble she.
Who coincidentally might have these in winter?
Yes,
that was
all of these are helpful.
It just so happens it's her last fucking name.
Where the fuck did they put them in this book?
It has its own weird section.
Yeah. Oaths. Let's see if they're oaths. Stage change.
Are you both on computer?
I'm using my book. Aha, 264.
Look to the side chat.
I found a copy of it. Okay.
Ooh, nice.
That's that's her Arcadian soul.
Yes. Oh shit, what did I just close?
He will say, "Repeat after me, Miss Winter, if you would be so kind." I swear fealty unto you, Cardlin Hammerfell.
I swear fealty unto you, Cardinal Hammerfell.
Your command is my desire, your request my desire.
Your command is my desire, your request is my desire.
May my service always please you, and may my spirit grow dark if it does not.
May my service always please you, and may my spirit grow dark if it does not.
As the tides to the moon, my will be yours, my liege.
As the tide to the moon, my will be yours, my liege.
He will respond then. I take you as my vassal. You are of my house, even as the very stones. I pledge to hold you, to guard you, to keep you. I pledge to honor your service as it deserves, and to reward loyalty in kind. As the moon to the seas below, my will to yours. I pledge the Ashit to you. I think we both spend a point of glamour, Joey, to seal this particular. Cool. He will spend the glamour.
I'll note it down. Cassie's going to spend the glamour, I guess, because I went on it on this.
Arise now, Lady Winter. He will take the sword off her shoulder, obviously.
Okay, she just goes, all right, selfie time, and she pulls you guys in really close for a selfie.
Cassie's all for it. She's just like, yeah, this shit can't get any weirder.
And she goes, so I gotta put this on Fonstagram. What would be a good tag for this? She's just muttering to herself as she walks off.
Wait. Give me your Instagram. Give me your number. Wait, come back.
She's like just pacing around. She's not actually walking off. Like she's just pacing around.
Cardinal will sigh. I believe I promised seafood. Let us go at seafood.
Ooh, I know this really good place. It's not too far away, and they're really cheap.
I approve of all of the above.
Those are two of my favorite things. Let's do. Slip Acacia her number, be like, here, contact info. Because
Yes,
selfie. And I know you took a video.
She will share her contact information, but she says, you have to get a special kind of phone to use this, so I will get in contact with my friends who makes these. They're special edition. Way better than an Apple, by the way. And I'll get you one.
I mean, it's fucking yes.
These are... And she giggles.
My
and says,
iPhone 7 is giving me migraines.
Yes. And she giggles and says, these ones are dreaming compatible. And as she leads you guys into this little seafood shop, it's like the sort of place that would sell like fish and chips, but this is like really good fish and chips. You see someone familiar sitting at one of the tables.
Ooh.
Motherfucking bitch! I'm a fighter! Joey, I'm not even shitting you. Roll initiative.
You can't.
Dang it!
There's actually magic on this place. Once you enter it, there is no fighting. And Acacia walks over and says, "Oh, hi there. I didn't know you were here today, Luadek." She smiles at Acacia and says, "Neither did I, apparently."
I do hope you enjoyed my eye and my thumb.
She just looks up and says to Cardinal, "Yes, they worked quite well for the potion."
Cassie, because she's polite, will look towards the older woman, kind of give her a smile. Hello, I see you are familiar with the company present.
She smiles and says, "The sea hag never forgets those who come to ask favors of her."
Is that a title? Because it's an interesting title.
You could say that, yes.
Okay. What do you think of the establishment here? Is the food any good? Because I've never been here, so I'm curious.
The seafood tends to be good when you have a Mer working the kitchens.
Gotcha. All right. She'll give a look to Cardinal, and she knows he's boiling with rage.
Evan, you there?
She'll to see. Like she's not going. I think he combusted.
Rip.
She's going to look at the sea hag and just kind of give her like smile. As he offered to my companions.
He might have lagged out or something because his picture's gone.
No.
And she'll look over at She'll look at Cassie and say, "I beg your pardon?"
Well, my companions came asking for, well, one of my companions, and she kind of points to Cardinal, came for aid, and you aided them. Thank you.
And she nods.
I'm not sure if you would have just kind of pushed them on a different path or whatever have you, but thank you nonetheless, even if you were simply doing what you do.
And she waves her hand. There's nothing to thank me for. I do what I must.
Yes, it seems to be the way of the world, right? Everything is done as we must.
That is very true. Weird. I don't have my message thread with Evan anymore.
He's back?
Can you hear us now?
Yes, I don't.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello. But sorry, the last thing I heard you say was yes, they worked rather well in the potion.
Yes, and she's just smiling at him.
There was kind of a grumble look on his face as he says, "Are you here for a reason or merely to disrupt my meal?"
And she sets she reaches into her robe and sets out like a mason jar, like a full-size mason jar full of like this greenish viscous liquid.
Ugh. People say, "I assume this is the antidote."
Yes, that is an accurate assumption.
How is it to be administered?
A few drops on the forehead should suffice. In cases of extreme emergency, a drop on the tongue will suffice even better.
How big is the mason jar out of character?
It is about a good like 1.5 feet high. Like it's pretty big.
Damn, it's one of those big
If
ones.
we take a sample of this before we enter into our, shall we say, agreed upon role in this little drama, will we be immune to the poison's effects?
And she chuckles and says, "No, you only asked for an antidote, not a preventive measure."
The next words are out of your mouth are going to be, "I can give you a preventive measure if you're willing to pay the price."
I mean, I could, but I think there's information you'd rather have instead.
He will look at you with so much hate.
A little stone birdie told me that you were looking for information on my siblings.
Yes. The true information.
And she chuckles and says, "Well, tell me, would you be willing to pay the price for it?"
What is the price?
She thinks and she thinks and she thinks for a moment and says, "I don't know. Perhaps I should ask for another hand." And then she winks.
Yes, because the frog in her throat.
And then she nods and she says, "You will owe me a favor. That is all."
So that I may see the baronies of New York free from the stain of corruption and bring back order to the chaos. Very well, witch, you may have your favor.
And she snaps her fingers, and you feel the weight of the dreaming settle on you. Hey, you just forged a contract.
Ding, 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 ding. Contract.
The contract powers.
And she looks at him and says, 5 questions. That is all you get.
Are you in anime?
No. Well, not all of us, I should say. And that was on my part at a character goof.
No worries.
4 left. Pick wisely.
How can what means at my disposal do I have that could defeat your brother? The false Baron, what's his name? Yeah.
Swiftfell.
The false Baron Swiftfell.
And she kind of narrows her eyes and says, if I am to tell you this, you must make an oath that you will not spread it anywhere. We may be powerful, but we can kill each other, and I can assure you, every one of my brothers and sisters would kill me for giving you this information if they knew.
You have my solemn oath.
Another snap of the fingers, another contract settled.
Mm-hmm.
Then she says, we are more ancient, more powerful than others. Cold iron alone will not kill one of my kind, one of my family. There are those who live in Central Park who know the other material required to kill us permanently.
Will they still hold? He contemplates. He's not asking her this question. He says, will they still hold, I wonder, to the old agreements? Maybe.
Add a character, which ones are you referring to?
He thinks you mean werewolves.
Yes. Okay, so was that like a question to you, or a question that he just said out loud?
That was him asking himself a question in kind of an internal monologue thing, because he knows that werewolves in the ancient past, blah blah blah, etc.
Mm-hmm. Important question. Did he say that out loud, even as a mutter?
No, it was internal monologue.
Okay. She would be that bitch.
Oh yeah, I 100% know. That's why I didn't say it. She would totally be that bitch. And for the record, Mia, that is indeed correct. Yes, 110%. You are not. Continue. Anyway, moving on. Oh wait, shit, because I need to ask this, because last time there was some weird jiggery pokery. Joey, can Cassie hear what her answers are, or is it only me because I made the agreement?
Cassie can hear them as well.
Last time... Okay, cool.
The only one she didn't hear was the one about killing people. That one was about how to kill them. That was hidden from her, but the others were not.
Okay. The next question will be, the Thuatha were our creators. We are Kithane. They are an anime. What name do you and your siblings have?
And she smiles, showing row upon row of shark teeth again, and says, we are the firstborn. And the way she says it, you can assume there's a capital F on that word.
Okay, cool. The fourth question will be...
By my count, this is the 5th.
Oh, you might be right. Okay, what should the last question be? What does your brother, Baron... No, I know exactly what he'll ask, because it could be important. The man who masquerades as Baron Swiftfell came to you for the poison, and you said he was willing to pay the price. What price did he pay?
Ooh.
And she smiles and she says, the head of 100 Kithane.
Oh. Oh, I need to kill this guy. I need to metrically kill this guy. Fine. Better. He will look towards whatchamacallit. The inanimate who brought us here, the wood spirit person whose name I can't remember.
Acacia.
Acacia. He will pick up the large container of antidote and hand it to Cassie. And like, poop, there you go. Before he says, Acacia, we do not have time to eat, unfortunately. We must return to New York immediately.
She kind of pouts and says, but I already put in an order for all of us.
Can we take
He
it to go?
contemplates. We can eat and walk. Or even better, get an Uber.
And she goes, yes, that gives me time to take a picture of my food and put it on Fonstagram.
There's a shake of the head. Just a kind of a what are children these days doing?
And then the Luade looks at you and says, is there anything else you would like to know? Perhaps you, young she says, looking at Cassie.
And Cassie just kind of tilts her head. And the way she tilts it, it's like the whole cartilage is going to spin as it goes from one direction to another. Not at this moment, but I'm sure if I have something to barter with, I might be able to find you.
My door is always open if you are looking.
Do you want me to order you a beer?
And she laughs and says, I'm fine. I already got some fish sticks, so I'm going to be heading home after this.
Gotcha. Well, you have a good day.
You have a good day as well, young Cassie. And as she stands to leave, as she walks past Cardillan, she goes to shake his hand, his right hand.
Oh, he has a right hand, so he will shake it back.
She would have gone for the left then.
Oh. He will give her the death look of all death looks.
She'll actually look down in surprise and says, oh, I didn't realize you cut your hand off. My apologies. And she'll go to shake it with his left hand.
He will shake with the left hand.
And then she'll walk out the door.
Bye.
Joey, if we can kind of do a kind of to get back, because we're basically going to get the food and head back to the head back into the whatchamacallit train station, and I assume go back the same way.
Yep.
Okay. Joey,
Superman montage.
Yeah, no, you know the little bat symbol that just says and then Batman is elsewhere. When we get back to New York, I'm going to thank the inanimate, and I'm going to say that once again we are also in her debt.
And she just says, "Oh, anytime." As she starts playing on her Xbox 360 as you guys leave her house.
Joey, I think we're going to
wistfully leave the house.
Once again, Cassie gets a pat on the head. Pat, pat, pat. Joey, we're going to get an Uber to Central Park.
Okie dokie. It takes about 10 minutes to get the Uber.
Is it night or day at the moment, by the way?
It is the day, middle of the daytime.
Okay.
You guys were gone for maybe 2 hours. Well, no, about 3 hours in total. That's how long you guys are gone.
Quick and yet important question, because Evan's trying to remember this, but I'm not exactly sure how it works. If you have, I think it's stag as your pack totem, isn't it? The Fianna pack totem is stag, isn't it?
Their tribal totem, yes.
Yeah. If you have the tribal totem of stag, you have to help a changeling who makes it. You are drawn to changelings in need, aren't you, or something like that?
I believe so. It's something like that. Let me search Stag's ban.
Hashtag stag is bro totem. Changeling bro totem.
Great Stag.
Is he great?
Children of Stag must always aid fairies or their kin.
In that case, he is going to.
Now, for that, to know that in character, you'd need a werewolf lore. Or you can make a difficulty 9 Greymare check.
I will make the difficulty 9 Greymare check.
Without the ability to spend willpower.
That was my squeaking noise. I'm sticking with it. Let's see. I still get a success.
Yep. You remember hearing something about like a certain group of werewolves would help Fae kind when they were in need, but you can't quite remember their name.
Okay. In that case, we're going to go to Central Park, and I'm going to look at Mia here because I've been to New York, but I've never been to Central Park. There were lakes in Central Park, yes.
There are some ponds, a giant reservoir, the Jackie Onassis reservoir.
We are going to
a bunch of turtle ponds.
We are going to find the nicest pond slash, the most naturey, kind of off the beaten track, and we're going to stay there until nightfall.
I can definitely send you pics for it because I actually have pictures of it.
You guys are there for about 10 minutes before this man appears, walking up to you guys.
Cool. That mustache.
And he will. There's nobody around. You notice like there's nobody in this particular area, and he will pick Cardinal up and slam him against the tree.
Kind of like.
He will say, "What is the meaning of your intrusion into our lands?"
Holy shit!
My name is Cardinal Hammerfell. Kind of, I'm assuming he's choking. By the ancient treaties. Mm-hmm.
No, he's just got you like by your armor, like, and has you pushed up against the tree.
He will say, "By the ancient treaties that bind our peoples, I come to find your aid."
He growls and he says, "The last treaty I remember, you were told to stay out of Central Park during the day, and we were to stay in our place of power during the night so you could have the park."
He will say, "You can kill me if you wish for the violation that you perceive. However, if you do, this entire city will fall to death, darkness, and destruction, the likes of which you cannot fathom. I have come to enact the oldest of laws, the oldest of words between us. If you kill me, I guarantee you that some of your kind will not look kindly upon my death, particularly when the very essence of creation, the end of all things, comes to gnaw upon your door."
He actually snorts and says, "I'll call someone. You stay here," as he turns and walks off into the trees.
He just kind of looks at Cassie and says, "I'm not having a good day. I'm not."
Cassie just kind of look at him, just be like, "Cardinal, you're normally very charismatic. What did you do?"
What, Cardinal, you're normally very charismatic. What did you do? He will look at you and say, "That's Baron Hammerfell to you."
Apologies, Baron Hammerfell. What happened?
After about 10 minutes, this woman appears. She's wearing a very stylish, like, outfit. And she, kind of jogs out of the tree line and walks over to you guys. Says, "Oh, dearie me, what did you all get into?"
I believe
Cassie
that's
will look at Baron.
God dang it! He will. Is the other gentleman with the fabulous mustache still around, or did he fuck off?
He's in the tree line behind you, her, watching you guys.
He will point and say that individual decided it would be very important for me to meet a tree at high velocities.
She goes, well, I understand why. Most of us aren't very excited to meet fairies, but it's good to meet you.
He will nod
nice to
and
meet you
offer
too.
her a bow. Allow me to do the proper introductions in that case. I am Baron Codlin Hammerfell, ap Dougal. This is my knight, Lady Cassie Winter ap Ilunit. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
And she, like, chuckles and says, my, formal, aren't you? As she holds out her hand for a handshake. You can call me Songs Hidden on the Moor.
Does she offer to shake the hand that's not there?
No.
Okay.
She is not that much of a bitch. Yes. And then she'll say, now, I understand you said something about death, destruction, the end of the world, that sort of thing. Would you care to explain?
Oh, this is going to take a while. I guess I'm just going to find a spot to sit.
He kind of points at Cassie and then points over to where there is, a couple of 100 feet away, where there is a vendor selling coffee, and he will say, "I will have a large espresso. Get the lady what she wants."
Baron Hammersfeld. Baron. It's a coffee cart in the middle of Central Park. The best you're gonna get is not terrible caffeinated sewer water.
I will accept not terrible caffeinated sewer water.
All right. How many sugars?
By the sound of it, all of the sugar. I mean, I'm drinking caffeinated sewage.
The Songs will just chuckle and say, oh, you can just get me a plain coffee black. I have some stuff to spice it up with. And she winks, so she pats a flask on her side.
Excellent.
Because this character is the embodiment of every Fiona stereotype you've ever heard.
Good God.
So
what, is she more than likely to fuck us or fight us?
I'm guessing the answer is yes.
What'd you say, Maya?
I was actually, Cassie was going to actually ask her if her friend with the impressive handlebar mustache wanted any coffee.
Oh no, Terrence, he's got some issues with, anger and stuff. We don't generally allow him to have coffee or sugar or alcohol.
Water?
Or really anything that's,
Water?
Oh, water will do. He'll take a water. And she throws a look over her shoulder that says he will take a water.
Ooh, important social dynamic question. Does she appear to be his superior? Like, is he cowed when she, does things in his direction?
No, he just rolls his eyes at her.
Okay. Cardlin will tell her the story that he can tell her without breaking the any of the Changeling, laws or whatever else have you. And he will end by saying, the phrase that we were told to come here that you possessed the second part of something I've acquired.
She says, well, so you said, what was the exact phrasing that she used?
He will give the exact phrasing because Evan can't remember it.
Okay. I actually can't remember the exact phrasing either, but something like the other material they have. And
the other material they have in possession they know of.
Yes.
Basically hinting at that silver.
Yes, and she taps her finger to her lips and says, well, the only thing I can think that would be is something like silver, but I don't know, because that would be a really weird thing. From what I understand, the fair folk aren't weak to it.
Cassie's actually going to shoot Cardlin a look. She's just like, well... Because out of character, aren't there fair folk who are sensitive to certain things? Silver being one of them?
I don't recall.
I don't think we get anything like vulnerability. I know vampires do, but I don't think there's a vulnerability to silver thing for where.
I think it's it's one of the flaws that calls back to the old superstitions.
I think maybe echoes might give you an allergic reaction to silver? Maybe.
Mhm.
Yes, I think so.
But he will say, in that case, do you have any smiths amongst your people?
And says, well, you just so happen to be talking to the right lady.
You He will nod, and he will say, in all reality, I spoke true when I said that this entity will cover this place in darkness. The dreams have already started to be affected. Humanity will become more destructive than you can possibly imagine when their dreams become as dark as I have seen them become. So, I would ask your help in that case to forge a weapon to strike down our enemy before he becomes too powerful for either to. God damn it, Grumpy Sandler mustache.
He will take the water, and then he will take the water, like not like rudely, but he just will kind of gruffly take it, say thank you, and then drink.
I would ask your help in forging a weapon to strike him down before before it is too late.
And
Will
right
you
in the
help
middle,
me?
in the middle of that sentence, she just holds up a finger for him to wait, opens up the flask, and then pours like a good 2 shots worth of rum and whiskey mixed into the coffee, and then like drains half the cup with a single sip, or not sip. It's like a gulp. And then she goes, "Okay, you can continue."
Cassie's just handing him his syrup sewage water. Here, Chica.
Kind of will accept the sewage water. But he will say, will you help me forge such a weapon?
Well, luck be having it, I don't actually have to forge anything. I have something, but the thing is, I can't give it to you. The most I could do is come along with you and help myself, because I can't exactly give you this thing, but it's just the right thing that might be able to help.
He will nod and say, and what is it?
Well, it's this thing we have called a triaxe. It's actually made for killing, any sort of thing, like, any sort of supernatural thing. It's got both cold iron, silver, and steel in it, so it should fit the criteria that you need.
A whole lot of them gonna kill you.
Yeah, in general, yes, that's generally the idea.
Cardlin will say, as you say, however, this would mean you would have to place yourself in danger.
And she laughs and says, my people are no stranger to danger. I think I'll be fine.
Very well, then. We would welcome your aid.
Gives him, like, finger guns and says, well, I'll, when you need our help, just come back to the spot. Preferably sometimes during twilight, so you don't have problems like you do with tears over there, but I'll see you then.
Thank you so much.
She'll wave down the rest of her coffee and then walk off into the trees.
Cassie will wave goodbye to Tears, just a big, obnoxious wave goodbye.
He doesn't look at first like he's gonna respond, and then she gives him a look and he just waves dejectedly.
Dejected waving. The best kind of waving.
Just like, I have to do this.
Once again, as he stands and walks away, he pats Cassie on the head.
And then I think, unless you guys have anything else you want to do in this scene, I think we're good to end there.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a good stopping off point, yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. And you can't see, but I'm doing finger guns at the screen right now.
Hey.
See you next time.